to teach it and say, I know this and you don't. And the only way to do that is to be able to write it down and show people in words. You get what I'm saying? It's like if you felt God and you know spirituality, you know so on and so forth, how can you teach that? And it goes into the Bible when people say, the Bible's talking about people who saw God, people who felt God. How can you teach that? You can't teach that. I can't go to you and say, I felt the presence of God, which is feeling the presence of yourself, feeling your own energy. How do I say that to you? How did I say that to you to where you can understand that what I'm saying is true? I can't write that on a piece of paper and get you to accept that. It's like, okay, well, you're going to look at me like I'm crazy. It's something that has to be felt within. And then only those who felt it as well can gel with you. They can relate. Y'all are both in tune now because they know what you're talking about. You guys are connected. And then in that process, the whole civilization of the ancient Egyptians was connected. They were one because they all understood, and it was easy for them. This is why the Egyptians didn't accept any outside languages or any outside information. Everything was within that civilization that they understood because they didn't want anything coming in there and corrupting their unity. So now understand, when we look at these terms again, transcendence, immanence, pantheism, panentheism, these terms are, by a different name already understood and talked about by the ancient Greeks. So they already had an understanding of these things. And this is where a lot of these philosophers later on will get it from, of course, from all of the Greek mythology and all the Greek understanding of these words. Remember, the Greeks were trying to rationalize this stuff. And they got how the Egyptians must have some type of power. They got how what the Egyptians was doing was correct because you can see it. You can see that no matter how crazy or how much you thought the stuff was weird, it's working for them. So by them not being able to grasp it spiritually because of the lack of melanin and the lack of them being born into a civilization where it's all about spirituality, them trying to rationalize it in a way for them to understand this is what they came up with. But when you look at it, what is it really? What are we talking about here? Talking about consciousness and energy and how consciousness transcends the physical universe and inhabits the unseen spiritual universe. And we know that the ancient Egyptians, they believed that, there was gods in everything, goddesses in everything, netters, netterus in everything. So now, why did the ancient Egyptians believe that there was this, divine essence in all beings? Because they understood vibration. They understood that we were all energetic, vibrational beings, plain and simple. Everything vibrates. Everything is made of atoms, and they all vibrate. This was the concept that they grasped early. So the universe is like, cosmic radio playing a song, and you have to, be able to hear that song and get in tune with it, vibrate with it, so you can get in tune with this cosmic song. And in doing so, you are on beat. You are on beat. The melody is right. You can move as a cadence. You're going to learn in this video that everything we do is based upon this. And it's going to make so much sense. And it's so amazing when you get into it. A lot of the concepts that we use, we don't even understand. It deals with the universe, and it deals with being in cosmic step, being in vibration, being in tune. And we say that so much, but people really don't understand. So they knew, we are all vibrational beings. When we get down to it, we're talking about we are all vibrational, and that the universe is playing this cosmic music that we all have to get in tune with. And being in tune with it, we're able to do things because we are in tune with this melody. And I know a lot of you guys, you didn't really get the concept of the zodiac. And this is a major part of it. So, when I was talking about how the Hebrews were able to do what they did because they followed the zodiac, the Ark of the Covenant, as I mentioned, is giving you that understanding. This is the zodiac. If you follow it, if you stay in tune with it, you're going to be able to do what you need to do during this time. Times will change. You must change with the times. You must stay in cosmic step in order to be in tune with the universal orchestra. And this is what they understood. So it's going to make a lot of sense. So they grasped this concept. And in grasping this concept, they acted accordingly. So now understand, the ancient Egyptians knew that the stars and the planets had a direct effect on this planet. Now it says here, astrology, which holds that there is a direct correlation between astronomical phenomena and experiences in the human world, played an integral role in the belief system of the ancient Egyptians. Although the advent of astrology has largely been associated with the Babylonians, some historians have argued that they learned their astrological knowledge from the priests of Egypt. Despite this debate, it is clear that the ancient Egyptian civilization made its own contributions to astrology. Astrology is often confused with astronomy, and there is, in fact, an imminent relationship between the two. Astro is the Greek root word for star, and while astronomy is the study and naming of the objects in the sky per se, astrology represents mankind's attempt to impart meaning into the relative position of those objects. Here we go again. As I said, they're trying to understand in lay terms and so they can understand it. So it says here, Egyptian astronomy facts. Early Egyptian astronomers acutely monitored and recorded the movement of the stars such that they would understand their effects on the Earth's environmental changes and the seasons. These astronomers were mainly temple priests, as it was believed that understanding the cosmos was a divine skill. Temples were constructed to imitate the design of the heavens, the floor being the earth, and the arched ceilings imitating the skies. In addition, temple rituals were time-based on planetary activity. It says here, astronomy versus astrology. The ancient Egyptians developed a system of astronomy as they believed that solar movements could predict natural environmental events such as famine and floods. This system of predicting and drawing connections between human experiences and the cosmos is what has become known as Egyptian astrology. Harmony of the spheres. Everything is in a state of vibration, light, sound, and physical matter. We are complexes of vibration surrounded by other transmitters and receptors of vibration. Together, all of it forms an ever-evolving orchestra. So as I said, everything is vibration. Sound is vibration. So they understood that our bodies are transmitters and receivers. So put yourself back then as a constant observer. 24 hours, you would observe not only the movement of the sun, the moon, the stars, but you would notice one big thing during this time. The most important thing you would notice is when the sun is moving, you are losing energy. As the sun goes down and the moon rises, you are losing energy. You are losing your ability to stay awake and to keep record of what's going on. This has to do with our circadian rhythm. So our circadian rhythm is a 24-hour cycle that basically rules our biochemical and physiological process. So it exists in all living things, basically. Our cells are basically set to our circadian rhythm. When we sleep, we heal, we re-energize. So you have this whole thing going on where the sun is going up and down and movement of the moon and the stars and so on and so forth, yet we are losing energy. And if you were somehow able to observe a sleeping person during this process where the sun is going down and they're going to sleep and they fall asleep, and you know, when you hit that point, you're done. You're tired. Circadian rhythm is in motion. But then eventually as the sun comes up, you will wake up and be fully regenerated. I need you guys, we just take it for granted. I need you guys to really grasp that concept. Think, if you are new, this is the beginning. There's no TVs, no YouTubers, none of this shit. You are looking at, existence itself and how it relates to us. So the sun is going down, you going to sleep, you're losing energy. The sun is coming up. Wow, you feel like a new man. Think back then. What would you think the sun is? The sun is God. The sun is taking our energy and is giving it back to us. But then, you're smart enough to understand that there's a different process to this. What is that about? So they understood that, this is this biological clock. It's this energy. It's this something that exists. You can't see a tether from your body to the sun. So you understand that you're absorbing this energy. You're taking it in. You're receiving, you're transmitting, because we can all feel each other's energy. And they're trying to process all this stuff that's going on. And I'm talking in terms of the Greeks here, whereas you had the spiritual civilizations that didn't ask any questions. They accepted it. They knew what it was. Whereas looking at it as an observer on the Greek side, you're like, damn. On the white man's side, you're like, okay, how do I explain this? And you're writing it down. Whereas Lion, tiger, bear, animal, rabbit, turtle. They're not, where's the pen and paper? They're not trying to figure this shit out. There's no reason for them to try to figure it out. They get it. They already know it's in them. Whereas we who fell in consciousness, we who have lost what we once known, we're trying to pick it up. Whereas the Egyptians just somehow they had to know. And they marched up to Kemet and they knew and they built and they kept going in hopes of remembering what they once were, and they were getting closer to it. Where when you had the Egyptians, the Greeks, looking at these people like, they are relentless. They get it. What's going on? How come we cannot? Okay, they won't let us in the mystery school. 40 years. Well, how can I take what they have and try to rationalize it and put it into an understanding where I can get people to understand and make sense of what they're doing? So as I said, you will look at the sun as God, and you realize that, sun goes down, you lose energy. And the Bible talks about, and all these preachers talk about how God will wake you up in the morning. I talked about the Saprachi asthmatic nucleus and how when the sun, first light hits your eyelids, that begins the awakening process where, the Saprachi asthmatic nucleus, which is basically regulating your hormone, which is going to reduce the amount of melatonin from your bloodstream, thus allowing you to awake. And it's the reverse at nighttime, where it's putting melatonin into your bloodstream, which is causing you to go to sleep. This is the sleep and awakening process caused by the sun itself. So they will understand that as well. So the ancient Egyptians understood the electromagnetic field of our hearts and our brain, and how it was in sync with the electromagnetic field of the earth, and how you can also see that animals also are in tune with their electromagnetic field and how animals use it to migrate and navigate. We can also look at the sun. We know that certain animals give birth based on certain lunar cycles. They migrate based on certain lunar cycles. They use the moon to navigate. They use the Earth's electromagnetic field to navigate. And we can look at the sun, the moon, and Earth itself and see how they have effects on people on this planet, on animals, and on humans. So what about the rest of the planets? So there's this certain harmony to Earth, this cycle that exists, and we see how everything plays off each other. How the rain helps the crops grow, and the animals eat the crops, and we eat the animals and bugs, and so on and so forth. All live off this natural balance that the Earth has, and it works. There's this certain synchronicity to the planet. So they looked at this and said, is it the same with the other planets? If there's a certain synchronicity with us, the sun, the moon, and other stars or what have you, what about the rest of these planets? What about them? Do they have a cosmic synchronicity that they need to know about? And of course, they do. So now it says here, the cosmos as orderly system. Before dealing with the subject of how to apply this knowledge, it is important that one understand two things. One, the cosmos as an orderly system rather than a chaos. Two, the significance of celestial influence on our biophysiological system. Let's start with the first point. Our little solar system is neatly arranged as tones in a chord. The distance of the planets to the sun follow a neat mathematical order, which is described by Bode's law. Assign a number to each planet in order starting with Mercury, counting the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, which most probably used to be a planet too. Then pick a planet and add 4 to its number, then divide by 10. This gives you the planet's distance in astronomical units from the sun. Pythagoras was the first to coin the term harmony of the spheres. It reflects the idea that the whole cosmic plan has an intimate connection between the laws of mathematics and of music, in time and space. Aristotle characterized the Pythagorean philosophy as having reduced all things to numbers or elements of numbers, and described the whole universe as a harmonia and a number. This idea was later studied by Kepler and still in present times. This science and the relationship with the golden ratio are being yet further investigated. This brings us to the second point that needs to be understood: the celestial influence on our biophysiological system. The central nervous system and the regulation of endocrine glands as transformers of the life energy are intimately connected to the circadian rhythm. A number of researchers, for example, Rodney Collin, go further and relate various functions in the body of man to specific planetary influences. Without going into detail, it is safe to establish that man, as a microcosm, is connected to the macrocosm in which she lives, the day and night, the cycles of the moon, but also possibly finer vibratory forces transmitted by the planets. So this is going to be a shock to a lot of people, but a lot of you guys know this already. But the ancients already knew that the planets emitted a frequency and a sound. Each planet emitted a frequency and a sound from major to minor tones, just like in music. So these frequencies, this sound together is called the harmony of the universe. Take a look.